So this is the final part of the video, and I'm just going to quickly talk about multiple means of action and expression. So I guess to finish off, I'd like to again share a few examples of how I applied the UDL in terms of multiple means of action and expression in my classroom. And the first and the only example that I will be talking about essentially is the use of Mentimeter. Again, this tool was introduced to me during my master's by some of the lecturers, and I thought it was a brilliant way to engage the learners. I actually got a subscription to this platform, so it allowed me to use and create essentially interactive slides that would encourage student participation. With Mentimeter, students could vote, type their answers in the little boxes and send them, or respond to questions essentially during the class in real life. I found this tool particularly useful in a larger group. Yeah, because it was like a large lecture hall with a lot of students, and I could understand that not everyone would feel comfortable speaking or answering questions out loud, essentially. I felt like using Mentimeter allowed every student to have a voice and to contribute to the discussion in a way that felt safe and inclusive. I think it also worked quite well for the students who didn't have access to the laptops. So, some of the students, from what I understood, didn't have laptops at all, and some students had laptops but couldn't bring them into the class for various reasons. For example, they had to go to work straight after the class. So by sharing a QR code to the Mentimeter slides, students could follow the slides on their own phone and participate on their own phone. And then if they had some information that they liked to save, some of them were taking screenshots, for example. And I think this was great because Moodle is not a very user friendly when it comes to mobiles. Like I saw several students struggling to accessing the material on Moodle and of course I would upload the slides on it, but this way they could just scan the QR code and got the slides straight onto their phone and kind of follow everything in real life time, essentially. And here I have an example. So on the left, we had a discussion in the classroom about teamwork and some of the challenges that people can face when working with others. I created a very simple, open-ended question, and the students could then type their answers directly and submit in real time. And we can see we have here 32 responses. And I think, yeah, once they click submit, their responses would appear on the screen, and then I would kind of go through the answers, and we could have a further discussion. Especially, I think this was interesting because some would identify, let's say, exactly the same barriers. And on the other slide, we can see a multiple choice question. I asked which of these are an example of a personal strength, and the students voted based on which one they think is a personal strength. Now, these are very simple interactions, but I feel like they made a difference. They allowed students to stay engaged with the material, and it wasn't just me talking the whole time, but them taking a break and engaging, most importantly, with the material. These were the little pockets throughout the lesson where students could share their own ideas, their voice, and actively participate. And they didn't have to, speak out loud in front of all of these people. And to conclude this particular video, the video series, I would just like to share some final thoughts. I think, firstly, try to get your students. I know sometimes it's not possible, but the more you understand who they are, the better you can support them. When you know who your students are, you start to recognize their needs, preference, and the kind of supports that make the biggest difference, essentially. Second, don't be afraid to experiment. Try different strategies and see what works best for you and your learners. UDL is a flexible framework. There isn't just one way you have to do it. What worked for me might not necessarily work the same way for you, and that's okay. I think the key is to keep exploring and adapting. Another thing I would really highlight is the importance of student feedback. It's such a powerful way to know whether something is working or not. And the feedback doesn't have to be very complicated. It could be just a very quick Google form or something like that, just a quick piece of paper at the end of the class, with one or two questions. Um, it doesn't have to be like a 10-page survey, but literally something quite simple and accessible for the students. For example, when I was collecting feedback from my own students, I always kind of told them, like, look, if you're not comfortable in writing this feedback in English, please write in whatever language you want. I can translate, because for me it was important to receive honest and meaningful feedback on my teaching rather than get nothing at all. Also, try, I guess, that's why the picture of the shoes are here. Try to put yourself in your student's shoes. Think about what kind of support you would need if you were in their situation. That empathy can guide many of your teaching choices. And yes, I know things do take time and effort. Implementing UDL strategy isn't always easy, but I generally believe it's worth it in the long run. It benefits not just students but us ourselves, educators. It makes teaching, I really think, more rewarding, more inclusive, and ultimately more human. And yeah, thank you so much for listening and watching these videos. If you like to learn more about UDL and practical tips, feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. I'll be sharing more examples and strategies and reflection there on how we can make teaching and learning more inclusive. And to finish off, these were my references. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video series.